pod-safe music is called Mucky Duck. Mucky Duck, you say.
Apparently.
Sanitized. Very, can't get sued for this, apparently. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's what matters.
We're good.
How about some more hockey conversation? Tim Cowlishaw, kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. Cowlishaw. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Hold on. Oh, my God. I'm losing it here. There we go. Right button now. You think I just started doing this? You know what I'm saying? How are you?
I feel like you did.
Yeah, it's like I'm starting over.
I'm good.
Can I ask you
Are
something?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here, and I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Okay.
When I was on Bomani Jones' show, he brought me out to Peter Tosh. You know, why do I get Mucky Duck?
It's a long story.
Bomani's got better agents.
It's kind of a pet peeve of mine.
Better lawyers.
He definitely has that.
Yeah. All we did on this show was love. I mean, we have endless great bumper music tracks that no other show would even consider playing. But then we got the iHeart lawyers decided that because when the show becomes in podcast form, because of some apparently licensing questions, we got to then excise all the bumper music. So we just have cut to the chase and said, all right, let's just use safe stuff even for the actual program. So
we'll send you Mucky Duck in MP3 so you can listen to it on your own time. It's pretty catchy.
Yeah,
we'll send it to you.
Okay.
Peter Tosh, man, there's a voice. There's a name from the past. I was trying to explain this yesterday, that my recollection is that you got into hockey as a newspaper man very early. And I don't know if I remember why you seemed to gravitate towards it. Was it something, because I don't think it was in your wheelhouse growing up. What is, am I right, first of all? And secondly, what's the backstory that indicates that a guy who's worked in Texas forever, long before, obviously, the Stars got there, is a big puckhead?
You're living a little long, as usual.
Nothing new there.
So, yes, grew up largely in Texas. Went to high school here in Richardson, Texas, beautiful suburb of Dallas. But the Dallas Blackhawks, Chicago's top minor league affiliate at the time, played at the State Fair Coliseum. You've been to the State Fair for the Texas OU game and
nothing like it
and such. And my friend's dad had season tickets. So originally we just went a couple times. My junior or senior year, since I certainly wasn't doing anything else with my life and I wasn't dating by any means, we went to, I believe, 28 home games that year.
Wow.
And we were just regulars down there. And got into it there. Now, I'll admit, in the 80s, as I got into my career, hockey was still, most of Gretzky's glory days weren't really seen in this country unless you had sports channels.
That's true.
Which nobody had. ESPN wasn't showing it. So I'm not going to act like I stayed completely on top of it, but by the time ESPN got it at the late 80s and then into the early 90s when the Stars moved here, can't remember where they came from, was into going to games. Didn't follow the league closely enough to know who, I might have known who Madonna was, but I probably didn't know who, Paul Cavallini was.
Yeah.
And, but then, midlife crisis after covering 2 Cowboy Super Bowls for Dave Smith, I switched to the Stars beat, and nobody ever called me in the middle of the night asking where, some story on some Cowboy was. And that's when I really picked up. I was a beat writer for 3 years, and the Stars went from really bad to conference finals against Detroit. And then I was a columnist the next year when they won the Stanley Cup and went to all those games. So it was a little bit late in life, but it was, I had a taste of it as a youth at State Fair Coliseum.
Okay, that's good background. Yeah, that's well. Then I was kind of sort of right, but probably sort of wrong as well. I knew you covered them at some point. That's for sure. Do the Dallas Stars fear the Minnesota Wild at all?
When you put it all in there, I have to say they certainly respect them. Both teams won the home games.
Yeah.
through 78 games, these teams are 2 points apart, and they're playing here last Thursday, and Minnesota's ahead after 2 periods. So they're a period away from being tied with 3 games to go. So they're obviously aware that Minnesota, I think everybody knows this is a different Minnesota team. And I'll say this, I talked to your man, Bill Guerin, after the second period because he kind of wanders through the press box a little more than most GMs do, or presidents, whatever his title is.
Yep.
And I know him a little from his days here. And he wasn't ecstatic that they were winning 4-3. He was kind of bubbly that Quinn Hughes was the best player on the ice that night and just making ridiculous passes. And that's what Minnesota has now that they didn't have when they played this team in the playoffs a couple years ago. And he makes a big difference. On top of that, no idea if Miro Heiskanen is going to play in Game 1, their defenseman version of Quinn Hughes, and Rupe Hintz definitely not. So I think the Stars they're very confident against everybody, including Colorado. But they also know this is a better team, and they're not really 100%, but they better be close to it, or they won't get past the first round.
Is it 3 straight years to the conference finals? Or 2?
3 straight years.
Yeah, okay.
Lost them all. Well, lost to Vegas in 6 games, lost to Edmonton in 6 games, lost to Edmonton in 5 games. Pete DeBoer coached all those teams. Pete DeBoer made a tactical mistake after losing the big game, which was really Game 4 2 years ago. He went after me in his press conference, and it was nice. It got some nice national play about, I haven't seen you around here all year. You just go write whatever the F you want anyway. And it was great. And the next day he apologized to me, and we had a nice little chat, as those things do. Last year, instead of going after me, he went after the goalie.
Wow.
He benched him after 1 period in Game 6, did not put him back in. It was 3-1 after 1 period, and they lost by whatever score. And after the game, he said, yeah, if you look at Jake's numbers, it's been the same every year in this round, and he just basically put it all on the goalie. And the team kind of revolted. So
yeah,
they made a change at coach. Glenn Gullif is not going to call anybody out, me or the goalie. I think he's a decent coach. But yeah, 3 straight years, and I'm trying to remember, when's the last time Minnesota got out of the first round?
They've
2015.
Yeah, they've lost their last 9 playoff series.
Okay, so probably nobody on this team, has ever gotten out of the first round with Minnesota. And
correct.
So you got a team that's good and is very motivated to do that, and then you have this other team that is like, are we ever going to get to the Cup Finals? But they got to go through Minnesota and Colorado in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Those might be the 2 best teams they would play the entire playoffs anyway.
Are you?
So I mean, it's just it's very interesting dichotomy, as we say in the sports writing business.
Is it fair? Are you in the group that is incensed that the commissioner of your favorite league, Gary Bettman, continues to double and triple down on the playoff format that a lot of folks find detestable? Where are you on that whole discussion?
The division
yes,
thing?
Right, rather than 1
I
versus
don't
8.
like it. I would definitely prefer the other. I would go back to 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. You do get some redundant matchups, but the rivalries are okay. Now, when you happen to be in the best division, Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota have, 3 of the 6, 7 best records in the league, and they all got to just play each other. That's compared to the Pacific, where nobody's very good, and Utah might beat the champion of that division. So there's an unfairness to it. I don't hate that personally as much as I hate the NHL's idea that everybody has to watch every game, so we're going to start all the Western Conference playoff games at 8:45 p.m., which screws the local fans. It's a ridiculous starting time for a game that, regulation is going to end about 11:30. Heaven forbid it goes to overtime. You're going to be up all night. So I don't like the thing you're talking about, but I'm not screaming at the commissioner.
Well, the NBA does the same. Almost most games against Denver, or if the Wolves, advance past Denver,
they do.
8:30, 8:40.
the NBA is actually worse because they stagger that first round so that they take 3 days off. So we got to show every game at its own window. And there's nothing wrong with having them overlap like the NCAA tournament. And March Madness kind of works. So anyway.
How is your goaltending been this year?
Statistically, not special. They're good. Jake Ottinger is still the guy. I don't think it's not out of the question that if he has a bad game or something, they could try Casey DeSmith. The backup is good. And I think there's a little, even though Pete DeBoer got fired for calling out Jake Ottinger, he wasn't necessarily wrong about everything he was saying. So there's a little bit of, okay, we thought he was the golden boy early. We think he's good. We're glad to have him, but we shouldn't be immune to the idea that, if he gives up 6 goals in a game to Seattle like he did a couple years ago, maybe the other guy is worth a try. So I think probably equal to or a little better than Gustafsson, but I don't think this series will be won with a great goaltender.
Well, there's plenty of goaltender fodder here right now because the game you're referring to, which could have allowed, if the Wild had won it in regulation to turn it into a tie for that spot. Gus Bus was not very good. He was. I don't think people were necessarily good in front of him, but he was shaky. He's been shaky from the Olympics on, frankly, with a couple of exceptions. Meanwhile, the kid Volstedt has been up and down, but lately has been much better. So that's what we're all watching. They're not announcing anything yet. The betting money is still it's going to be Gus. I'm not sure it should be at this point, but it's an open and even I think right now an even more open question because he's probably had one of his worst stretches in the last 10 to 12 games.
So Gus probably has a shorter leash.
Yes, definitely.
A quicker hook than Jake, but Jake might have a hook this year.
Yeah, for sure. Where in the Dallas sports pecking order? Where are the Stars these days? Where do they fit?
Okay, I'm still going to say they're fourth, but I'll say this: because of what they've done the last 3 years, that has built up. They definitely have a bigger following than they had going into 3 or 4 years ago, and there's kind of a complete sense of doom around the Mavericks because of the Luka disaster, and the Rangers are just they're kind of invisible for a team that won the World Series in 2023. They're looking like a team that's going to win a World Series and then not be back to the playoffs for a few years, which, they're going to be the Chicago White Sox of 2005, basically. So, their Rangers and Mavericks have more fans if you just total volume, but there's a level of passion about the Stars and a belief that they are going to be. I think even Cowboys fans or Mavericks fans would say, who's going to win the next championship in Dallas? They're all going to say probably the Stars if they're on top of things, because the team is fairly loaded when healthy. And the Mikko Rantanen deal made a huge difference a year ago. They keep falling against Edmonton or 2 years ago against Vegas. And this year they don't have that. This year, the first 2 rounds, clearly much tougher than whoever they might face in the conference finals. So it's just getting back there. But I don't know about numbers because everything is messed up these days, and I'm sure it is there. Everything is an app on TV. There's not a Fox Southwest that everybody just tunes into. So the numbers they're not great for the Rangers. They're not great for the Mavericks. They're not great for the Stars. But there's when I'm around other people in town or playing golf or anything, there's a lot of people that very quickly get the Stars in the conversation.
But still behind Cowboys, Mavericks, and Rangers?
Cowboys are always going to be a million miles ahead of everybody, but they're also by far the most hated. Yeah. The Cowboys are the most popular team in the country, but there's a whole lot of people in Dallas that can't stand the Cowboys.
Even in Dallas?
And yes, without question.
I don't remember that. When did that start?
I mean, we're talking about 30 years. You know this, but 30 years without an NFC championship game.
Yeah, that's...
For a team that played in 12 of 17 championship games with Landry, and then went to 4 in a row with Jimmy and then Barry. 30 years without one.
That's
longest
true.
drought in the NFC by far. Now that the Lions and Washington have made it to one. And there's just a desire to dump on Jerry, very understandably, with everything the Cowboys do. So there's a lot of people, whether they hate the Cowboys or they're just mad at them. There's a lot of that in Dallas. But the Cowboys are clearly way ahead, right, and the other two have more fans, but there's no buzz. There's zero buzz about the Mavericks.
Speaking of TV apps and TV ratings, I saw this nugget, this is from about 5 hours ago, that the NBA released. You may have seen it. 170 million people in the U.S. watched NBA games across ABC, ESPN, Amazon Prime Video, NBC Peacock, and NBA TV during the regular season, the most in 24 years and up 86% versus last season. So what does that tell us? Translate those numbers against, like you said, well, I guess those are national numbers, though those aren't regional numbers. And is some of that just that they televised more games nationally? That's part of it, too. Or does it mean this is yet another golden era being ushered in, despite the ongoing frustration each week of, okay, what game is on what network and what app and whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I was going to say, this league that's talking about its golden era had technical difficulties with Amazon Prime last night in the play-in games. So I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain the huge jump from last year. I have to think there's something to do with the number of national games.
Yeah.
I don't know. TNT shouldn't have been hard to find at this point. Maybe they've put more games on ABC instead of ESPN. I'm not sure. I just don't think that translates to a real feeling about the NBA, because the finals last year had far fewer viewers than Dodgers Blue Jays, and Toronto fans don't even count in this country. So if you're looking at just the end result of the NBA finals went 7 games,
mm-hmm,
and they were great games. I know those are not big markets, but if you have a great product, people should know that Oklahoma City is a great team to watch, and Indiana was playing out of its mind all through the Eastern Conference. And those 7-game ratings were about half of Dodgers Blue Jays, which I don't know if that took the world by storm either. So I think there's something a little bogus about those NBA ratings. Now, maybe I feel that way a little bit because the NBA has gone from Dallas is 2 years removed from Celtics Mavericks in the finals to, okay, it's Cooper Flag and nobody, and they're going to lose 55 games. So it's kind of dead here right now. And maybe it's doing okay elsewhere. I don't know. What do you think? Because you at least have a team that's kind of stayed at the same level of competition, and they've been to the conference finals.
Yeah.
Maybe people think they can get through, but I don't know if there's frustration there too.
There's not yet. I think there's a wariness this time because they didn't finish. I think they finished 9-10 or 10-11. They kind of they soared in last year, I think, with a great end of the regular season. But I think people are holding off on the frustration because they do have a little bit of success now, 2 straight years to the Final Four, the conference finals. So I think people are kind of waiting to sort of see, where this thing may go. I'm not sure. I do think the national numbers are maybe a little bit deceptive on the basis of the number of games that we're talking about here. But I guess I need all the analytics on that part of it. You mentioned the Rangers. I do have a baseball question that we got into yesterday. I just laid out, first time in a while, the Ohtani resume and accomplishments, and now because the big talk at the start of this season was, oh, by the way, he wants to win a Cy Young. That he wants to at least be under consideration for that. Now, whether he'll be ultimately able to pitch enough to do that, who knows? But I think his first 2 games, he's yet to give up an earned run. All the rest of what he's accomplished offensively. Why is he not seismic in terms of the popular sports culture? Or am I wrong in thinking that he's not?
That's a good question. I think, he does a fair number of commercials, so I think I can't just say there's a lack of endorsements in baseball, although that's generally true for the sport. But he's on there. I think people recognize that he's maybe the greatest player of all time, and certainly the one thing that people talk about Babe Ruth didn't hit a ton of home runs for Boston when he was a pitcher. He didn't really get that thing. Nobody has ever done 50 home runs. Oh, and I'm pitching. I'm doing 25 to 30 starts with a great ERA. So nobody's come close to that. I don't know if there's a kind of just use the word wariness, or just not wariness. Sorry, being weary of the Dodgers are going to win another World Series.
That was brought up yesterday.
They just bought their way into all of this stuff. Did they really need to pick up Kyle Tucker for $60 million a year this offseason? I mean, is that just kind of showboating that they can do that? So I think that hurts a little. If he was doing this for your lovable Cubs or somebody, the Mets or somebody who hadn't won like the Dodgers are winning now, maybe it would resonate differently. I don't know, but he definitely could win the Cy Young. I don't know. I mean, why shouldn't he? If he's a good starting, if he does what he does all year, he can win everything.
Well, some of it I think is a function of, if you put him in probably the 50s and 60s when baseball was the thing, still in a way that it's not. That probably enters into it. I think that's part of the story too. By the way, I'm kind of scatter shooting here, but you mentioned Jonesy. Okay. You mentioned the Cowboys, and obviously all the frustration there because it's more than anything else at Dallastown 3 or 4 times over, despite the relative dysfunction. Does Jerry Jones hate you? What's your relationship with Jonesy?
No, Jerry does not hate me. And Jerry reads me and makes cryptic comments in press conferences about it. But, like, when I ask him, I'm not there every day like beat writers, but when I'm there at the start of training camp, when I'm there after a game on a Sunday, when I ask him something, it's like he locks onto me and he'll answer the next 4 questions staring straight at me. I think I still, and he'll work Jimmy Johnson into an answer, even though that has nothing to do with any question. I think when he sees me, he remembers the good old days. So part of him ignores the fact that I tear him up all the time.
Right.
But he has made funny jokes about that at times. Telling everybody Merry Christmas last year as he's leaving. You too, Tim. Just stuff like that. He does that all the time. But no, personally, like I saw him at training camp, and we, aside from the press conference for a minute, and just kind of both talked about having done this for a ridiculous number of years and how old our relative ages are and stuff. So no, he does not. The last Mavericks owner did. He was much more thin-skinned, that gentleman whose name I can't think of, but just tried to bury Jason Kidd recently. So that was different.
Yeah,
but, right. Jerry's not thin-skinned. Of all the things you can say about him, he's taken criticism from day one. Frank Alexis in 1989.
Yes,
and Frank Alexis just hated him because here's a man who's taken Tom Landry's job away from him, and he loved Tom. Like, Frank said, if I, the way he responds to me, if I rip him one more time in the paper, I'm afraid he's going to adopt me. Because that's just how he treated him better every time he saw him, no matter what he wrote.
Well, that's the old. That Jerry, obviously, I don't know him very well at all, but just from afar, he strikes me as one of those guys. There's a few of them that if you really want to piss him off, you ignore him. I mean, that would bug him more not being written about. He'd rather you rip him than to not put him in the mix, right? He's got to be in the mix.
the first time after I became a columnist that I wrote something that he didn't like, and he pulled me aside at training camp, was when I had written about Shante Carver, who was a first-round pick the year, like a month after the Jimmy ending. So it's Barry Switzer era. Larry Lacewell's in charge, and I was writing about Larry Lacewell and, what a bad pick and what a bad 2 or 3 years it's been. And he pulled me aside at training camp and said, you can't write that. You can't call Shante Carver Lacewell's pick. That's my pick. You have to give me credit or blame for that pick. That is not Lacewell's decision.
There you go. That's it.
You want credit for Shante Carver?
That's too good. That tells it all. Yeah, that crystallizes it. Last item for today, Timmy Cowlishaw, kind enough to join us.
Yes, sir.
The Dallas media legend. You mentioned the State Fair. The Minnesota State Fair, as you know, is far superior to the Texas State Fair. But
never $20?
No, it's not even close. Now, Texas State Fair goes on longer. And it's probably larger in terms of space, but there's nothing like the Minnesota State Fair. Nothing. There's just nothing like it. Yeah, it's not even close.
Okay.
But I digress.
All right.
I bring it up because you jog my memory. Did you ever find yourself stuck in the Cotton Bowl press box after a game? In the elevator, I should say, in the Cotton Bowl press box elevator.
Oh, stuck in the elevator.
Yeah, in the elevator.
No, that's not a great elevator. I mean, it's better now. It used to be really bad. There have been a couple times I've been concerned, once in Cleveland, that I don't think we could get out. We eventually did.
I'm bringing it up.
I did not have that.
It happened to me. It happened to me, and I don't even know. I think I was still working in Dallas then. I'm not sure. I guess it could have been later, but I think realistically it was. And what makes it compelling for me, looking back on it all these centuries later, is that it's overcrowded. Obviously, we're trying to get downstairs. It's hot in there already, even though, it's probably not that hot outside. I don't know the circumstances. And we're stuck. It's gone like about 10 or 15 minutes goes by, and we suddenly hear a voice that says, we're going to lead you down. We're going to take the elevator down manually. And I'm not kidding you. They start like they had a rope or something, and they started bringing us down where it would be like you jerk down for a floor and a half, and then they would stop it again, whatever it was. One of the most harrowing experiences in my life. They brought it down by some sort of cable system, I guess. I don't exactly know how they did it. It's amazing. And I lived to
Brock had a rope, and he was.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's too good.
I love that.
So I'm surprised it didn't happen to you. All right.
No, I never had that.
Are you coming up for the series?
I'm not. I'm traveling the second round if I get there, but that doesn't help you for seeing my face.
No.
So I will be at all the home games, and I'll be watching the road games and seeing how it goes.
Mitch Lawrence says hello, by the way. We had him on a couple days ago. Yeah.
Good to have Mitch. He's down here now. I'll say this. If Miro Heiskanen is not suiting up for Game 3, Minnesota will win the series. They can't afford to go more than 2 games. They went the whole first round without him with an injury last year, but that's only because Rantanen took over against Colorado. They won't beat Minnesota without Miro being close to as good as.
And what's the betting money on his status? What do we think?
It's hockey, so he's day to day with a lower body injury. But I mean, he got hurt against Minnesota, and all you can tell is his leg bent in a weird fashion, and that can be minor or that can be a serious knee thing. But they're saying he's day to day, and he won't play tonight. But they're not going beyond that. Rupe Hintz, their best center, also from Finland. Mm-hmm. They've already said, we'll play in games 1 or 2, and we don't know if or when he will be back. So that's a significant player to be without. But Heiskanen is the one they really have to have because they're just that's too much of an advantage if Minnesota has Hughes and they don't have their best defense.
Those are tantalizing little nuggets right there for sure. By the way, Out West 320 guy writes, sounds like we need to have a home and away with Cowlishaw for the state fairs. Maybe that's the answer. Yeah, some sort of a.
Well, I think so. I need to come to the Minnesota. I didn't know what time of year is Minnesota's
It's right before Labor Day, basically. Labor Day is like the last day of it. So, late
getting out of
August
town in Dallas in August is always a good idea. So,
good point.
When it's 105 degrees.
Yeah, we have beautiful weather for the state fair.
By the way, I know we're going along here, but I did not expect to be back. I have to be honest.
How so?
30 minutes I did 30 minutes with you a month ago of why Kyler Murray is not the answer, and they signed him the next day.
Yeah. I don't think it was a coincidence.
No respect to your guests.
Yeah, I don't think it was a coincidence. I've had people inside the TCO Performance Center, sources have told me that the head coach heard that interview and said, bleep it. Now I'm more certain than ever that I can turn this guy around. And by the way, there's a lot of people. We had Sean Salisbury on. He thinks he's fixable. He thinks he's doable. We'll see. I'm not as down on him as you. I'm not as high on the decision as many others, but we'll see.
Do you really want to sign a guy who's 6 years now in the league and he's got a second contract making $50 million that is described as fixable? I mean, I think you want that guy to be, well on his way to something, not just fixable.
You're preaching to the choir there. We'll see. The good thing is you're on the record on this, so you're either going to look like a hero.
I'm on the record. I'm not waffling. No. They're the fourth best team in the division now. So
or you're going to have to come back and apologize. Like late September when we're unbeaten and he's leading the NFL in passing efficiency.
Happy to come back with these wonderful checks you send me for these appearances.
Yes, that's true. That's true. All right, enjoy. We'll talk soon. Thanks for the help.
All right, Danny.
Appreciate you. Tim Cowlishaw, Dallas media legend. More than just the Dallas Morning News. We were very late. We'll get caught up and get to some text reacting to what Cowdog had to say on a number of subjects when we...
Never miss your chance to know what the latest sports news is in town. Chances to win tickets, knowing what's going on with all your favorite KFAN shows. You can follow us, KFAN 1003, on all our social channels, Instagram, TikTok, X. Stay connected. Follow the sports leader, KFAN.
This is the second Marty Wexler, the third related text we've received today. People are saying, well, it's great that we got the Wild in the playoffs with a chance, the Wolves in the playoffs with perhaps a chance. When's Wexler going to be on, or is he going to be on? Draft week. And I assume, as far as you know, are we on with him? It's usually Wexler Wednesday, right?
Yeah, the day before the draft. So
as far as we know, that's still in play, correct?
As far as I know, I have not been told any different. I suppose I should probably work on it. It's a week from today. I've been in playoff mode.
I wouldn't rush into it, but yeah, you're probably right. That's very, very true. Where were we here? There was a good text that came in. There's a lot of reaction to our discussion with Cowlishaw. This is from Flim Flam. Right-size the Fauché Tower. Install a bidet and shower. Start Volstead, you cowards. Barrero's bathhouses in 5.
Good effort.
Flim Flam. Yeah, it's different, but I kind of like it. I mean, there is an effort to it, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, we got too many texts today. Dan, you're as soft on crime as the Pope. LaMelo ought to be thrown out of the league.
That's still, I don't think. I still don't think that line is getting enough attention.
It's not.
The Pope is soft on crime.
It's too good. It's too good. You're exactly right. I'm glad he called it back because it was absolutely.
I'm going to think about that the rest of my life, however long that is.
Buxton is healthy, finally hitting some dingers. Dan and John Bream know that Bob Dylan's a great singer.
Oh, my gosh.
I saw Kessler outside a bar at 1 a.m., and he gave me the finger. Wolves in 5. That's the one I was looking for. Before we praise Draymond Green for his basketball IQ, can we acknowledge that a championship team will likely play much more than 16 postseason games? So I think Day was talking about.
Yeah, you win them.
You got to win them,
Make
right?
the point.
I think because otherwise it's an open-ended number, right? Unless you go Moses Malone on the bit, full. Now it would be full.
Right.
And the year they won it, I think it ended up they lost one game. I think one of the series went 5. Moses Malone.
Pretty good. It's a good run.
The best. You know my Moses Malone story, right? The post-game locker room scrum. This was, I think, after.
Is that the be careful?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was after. In fact, I think it might have even been when that year they swept the Lakers and in L.A. I think they won the title there. I was definitely there, wherever it was. And there's literally in the locker room this is before the days where you had setups, we're outside the locker room and then you bring the main players out like they do now. And there's got to be 25 reporters in a semicircle around Moses Malone's locker. He is seated in a chair, stark naked. He's got nothing on.
Yeah.
And
simpler times.
There's the obvious frustration if you are a radio or TV guy, you have to find a way. You can't be in the back because then your microphone's in the back. So you got to find a way to move your microphone close to where Moses is answering the question.
Yeah, I've been there.
And my recollection is I was kind of a little bit to the left, facing Moses, and I suddenly, to my right, I see I think he was an LA-based guy forever. Who covered a lot of stuff, including, I think, the OJ trial, actually, later. But in any case, I see he's trying to, kind of get under people, or at least enough to where he can extend his arm with his microphone. So he's basically doing the obstacle course with the mic, a little bit left, a little bit right. He's annoying people. There's people bitter. What are you trying to do? But he's saying, I got to do my job. And so he ends up, suddenly, Moses looks down and he sees this disembodied hand with a microphone getting perilously close to a certain part of Moses Malone's anatomy. At which point, Moses looks up and says, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Oh, that's right.
That's the line.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. Comic relief moment that that's one you never forget.
No.
That's just one of those you can never forget. And you can't make it up either. Let's get caught up after a lengthy discussion with Cowdog. A lot of good texts. We'll get some reaction there and prepare for Top 5 at 5. Kessler is due to arrive, anytime, actually. And he'll join at 5:30.
Playoff time calls for Carboni's Pizza. Game day fuel since 1954. You can fuel your Game 1 playoff party this Saturday by ordering at carbonispizza.com.
612 guy writes, Dan is a second round exit for the Wild, a good season. Wow. It's too open-ended. I got to know more. I got to know more about how they won the first series, because by definition, if you're in round 2, I can figure out that means you win round 1. I got to figure out who you're playing and how competitive you are. I can't answer it. I'll put it to this way. Is it possible that a second-round exit could be considered a good season? Yes. Is it also possible it could be considered a disappointing season based on build-up, based on moves you've made? I'd say yes, too. I got to know more about the specifics. If I'm not ready to say flat out that if you get eliminated in round 2, it's a failed season. And maybe I'm grading on too soft a curve, but I need to know more, especially given the assumption about who the team is you're going to have to beat in round 2, right?
Colorado.
If it goes according to Hoyle.
Yes.
So I would just need more information, I guess, on that. Have you ever been? You covered a lot of stuff, obviously now. So have you ever been for any extended period stuck in a media press box elevator at an arena or at a stadium?
I don't think I've ever been stuck.
Okay.
I've been stuck in the elevator here.
Yeah. Oh,
That's happened a couple times.
That can be nerve-wracking in of itself.
Well, it's just never fun when you're stuck, suspended, when you know you're 5 levels off the ground, 9 levels off the ground, and you feel like everything should be fine. You're not moving, but it's still a little unsettling when you're just in this box hanging.
Yes.
So we have to wait. In college, it's weird, and it's probably like this at the Cotton Bowl. Sometimes we have to wait forever to even get on an elevator.
Absolutely.
Because oftentimes the same elevator that's going to the press box is also used for the suites and the hospitality, and the workers that are trying to clean up are moving trays of food, are moving different things from the luxury areas. And sometimes we're trying to get on a bus, and we're just worried that we're going to miss the bus because we'll just be sitting there. Purdue's terrible at that. We'll be sitting there on like floor 9 on the one elevator waiting to get out. It's not always fun, but I don't remember being stuck on one on the road anywhere that I can think of.
Yeah, I think it's happened to me more than once, but that was the time that it took and it was, it's an ancient stadium even then, and an ancient press box. And part of it is you're trying to beat in this case, there weren't suites back in those days, but it just wasn't very big. And so is the old, well, then you might not get down to the locker room in time to talk to players, whatever the case may be. It's hard to top that one for sure. For me. And, I did fortunately live to tell about it. Dorms, it happened. It seemed like it happened all the time. I think a lot of people could probably tell dorm stories about elevators that failed. In fact, when you're that age, you revel in stupidity. At least we did to a certain extent, and it was, well, let's see how many people we can get on the elevator.
Super smart.
And to sort of test the limits,
the durability
of the thing.
Yeah. Which
I look back on now, I say that's cool. Because then once you're in it and you do get it to get stuck because it's overloaded, it gets nerve-wracking pretty quickly, right? Because you don't know exactly when you're going to be saved. It's warm in there.
Not a good idea.
Around people who haven't bathed in some cases.
Yep.
And if you're claustrophobic, then you got a real problem, correct?
You try to pass that down to the next generation so that they don't make the same mistakes that we did. But that's the beauty and the stupidity of youth, though.
Somebody is saying that Heiskanen could play in the first game. Cowlishaw made that sound like he wasn't going to. I don't know if he's got newer information or he was unaware.
It's very much up in the air.
Newer information. But he raises an important point. A lot of times, key injuries figure into it. You get a break that way. You get a little bit of extra. For whatever reason, the hockey gods smile on you because we are healthier than they are right now, correct?
Yes.
We don't have anybody mid-level or better that's not available to us as far as we know, correct? Right now.
Not off the top of my head. No. Yeah, I think we should be pretty good.
Yeah. Pardon the interruption, but is this Dallas drive time or bumper to bumper? Well, it's a little of both. Probably. It ended up being just a little of both. I grew up watching Tim on ESPN. I always appreciate his commentary because he seemed like a real person with the real takes. And it was not, he was not swayed by what the other 100 talking heads on ESPN had to offer. Yeah, he's not contrived. He gets the bit that everybody has a bit to them, and you can get people going, maybe not always believing everything you say, but that's generally not been his approach. That's for sure. Definitely not been his approach. The Dallas Cowboys, Dan, are the equivalent of the popular high school quarterback who still wears his Letterman's jacket when he's 55 years old. Probably some truth to that, too.
They haven't really done anything since
really
1995,
Think
right?
about that.
Yeah, 30 years.
But they still got us. Hail Mary. That's never going to go away. You know that, right? It's never going to go away.
Of course I know that.
That was the team that was going to win the Super Bowl.
I think you're probably right. Or at least score in the first half, which none of our teams did.
58-0. We were outscored in 4 first halves in the Super Bowl.
I can't believe we didn't realize that until like 5 years ago.
I didn't either. Of all you'd think, well, again, according to Fran, it was Bud's fault.
They didn't practice.
Didn't practice the in-between week.
Yeah.
So, an interesting theory that he has offered up It took him how many years to offer up that theory?
That's
it just
true.
came up like 4 months ago.
You're right. Yes, we've talked about it recently.
Top 5?
Anthony Edwards speaks for the first time in a while in advance of the big series against Denver.